No, we're not live yet. Now we're live. We're going live, Chip. We're almost live.
PM.
We're live.
I'm nervous, guy. I'm nervous.
Don't be nervous.
Okay, should we use our radio voices, guy? That's straight.
Hi, this is my radio voice.
The radio voice sounds good, Sky. Welcome, everyone, to the Ethical Underground.
On the line.
I love how you get hyped, Sky.
That's my pump up. I'm getting pumped.
You're getting pumped.
Thoughts for a freer earth. Time for another round. Against the systems of death.
Whoa, you know the lyrics, guy.
I wrote the lyrics.
No, I know.
Good morning, Chip. Good morning, Sky.
Hello, Smoking Blondie.
Put on your thinking caps. We can talk this through.
We cannot talk this through.
Yes, we can. It's
Some things we cannot talk through.
Hey, everybody, welcome to this. Welcome to the Ethical Underground. All right.
I'm part of the resistance now.
You are part of the resistance. Everyone's part of the. Welcome to the resistance. My name is Skyjack Morgan. I'm here with that Chip guy. This is the Skyjack Morgan channel. This is the Ethical Underground show. Chip, what a beautiful morning we're having here in America. It's the day after the 4th of July, and I want to talk with you about nationalism, especially since you're a guy who was born in Romania but are a Dutch citizen. You are a transcontinental immigrant. And
well, am I a I'm still on the same continent. I'm a
transcontinental means across the continent.
Transcontinental means across the continent.
Yeah, okay, so like yeah, I guess a lot of people probably don't know this but in America we have what's called the Transcontinental Railroad. When they met, they put a golden spike in the middle of it so that they could say, okay, we met from the east and the west. The Transcontinental Railroad and the Transcontinental Highway System. We call it the Interstate Highway System now, but there was the Transcontinental Highway, which was the Lincoln Highway. You probably don't really talk like that in Europe, but Transcontinental Express, you guys do have trains like that in Europa.
We do have. We don't talk like that, but we have the trains.
Yeah, you have transcontinental trains, but you don't say transcontinental. Anyway, yes, you are a transcontinental immigrant. So the reason why I'm thinking about this so hard, of course, is because it's the 4th of July, Chip.
I heard it was the 4th of July. I heard it's America's birthday. America.
America. Welcome to America.
Wait. Look, shall I use my American accent the whole stream, Sky?
Please
Will it
don't.
be American? No.
No, I don't do that. Please. Shall I lose my? You sound like Chris. You sound like Chris Hemsworth. That's how Chris Hemsworth sounds like to me. You sound just like Chris Hemsworth.
Well, that's actually a huge compliment. Thank you.
Yeah, compliment. It's a great compliment that I sound American as Chris Hemsworth.
American sounds good. American is the language of the Americans. Welcome to the 4th of July, everyone.
I didn't watch. I was very intent on not watching Donald Trump. I didn't watch his speech. Didn't watch the party. I didn't want to have anything to do with that. I instead, I signed a document saying I'm going to buy a house in New Mexico.
Fuck yeah.
And when I thought that, I'm like, oh, I'm kind of going through an immigration situation. Not all the way, of course. I'm still in America. An immigration situation on this transplantation. So I started looking at the distances between. So it takes me 14 hours to drive there. I looked up, it takes you about 20 hours to drive from Bucharest to Amsterdam. And then I looked up, like, so it's actually, you moved farther. I was thinking, like, man, I wonder how far Chip moved. And you moved about, I think, 600 miles more than I will be moving. But
it's also safe to assume that the difference in culture where I moved was bigger than the difference in culture of where you move.
Yes, I get maybe 600 miles more. Maybe 600 miles more different.
I would say it's a little bit more. I think, like, even if you move to New York City, you still get the difference in culture is still bigger from Amsterdam to
From Bucharest to
Stress.
Amsterdam
Yeah,
is a greater cultural difference than LA to New York.
yeah, I think so.
I don't know. I've been to both places. I've been to all the places we just mentioned, and I guess you're
Yeah.
right. The language is a huge part of it, right? And
Well,
sure,
not just, but like even the whole like here people bike everywhere, and it's like, how dare you not respect a biker? In Bucharest, people are like, fuck the biker. You know, like I literally see taxi drivers make fun of them, like making pretend that they run them over or something just to scare
yeah,
them off.
but okay, but then in Los Angeles, no one can imagine not having a car. In New York, no one can imagine having a car.
That's also a good point. Holy crap, that's an amazing point. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like there are some vast differences. So when you talk about stuff like that, I mean, okay,
that's
but
true.
not to get into the huge differences. I guess it was
Yeah.
just interesting to me because I am going through a big move, and I was thinking about you. And anyway, yesterday for 4th of July, guess what I did?
Fireworks.
No, I'm completely against fireworks. I think they're poisonous. I think they're a menace. In fact, I'm a little bit tired today because assholes kept doing fireworks and waking me up until I do the show pretty early on my side, and so I go to
Yeah.
bed kind of early on Saturday night. Like I was in bed by 11 p.m. I'm reading. I'm up. I'm probably awake until midnight. And then I fall asleep, and I'm getting woken up every 30 minutes because some assholes up until 3 a.m. lighting fireworks, 4 a.m. lighting fireworks still, and I saw it. I hate it. Um, the animals
I
hate it.
know. What did you do? I'm curious. What it is that you do? I actually wanted to ask you what it is that you do.
I looked up 3 movies that take place in New Mexico because I'm moving to New Mexico, and I stumbled upon. So I asked Gemini, what are some good movies that take place in New Mexico? Right, what a great thing to use for a search bot, right? And it told me some options. I said, are any of these kind of anarchist themed? Because I don't recognize any of the titles, and it was like over 80% of them were were anarchist themed. So like, what the hell is this? Why are so many of these films themed anarchist? And it was because of the New Mexico spirit and how many people there are have been kind of they're resisting the government and resisting the police and resisting the encroachment of the state. And I discovered an author named Edward Abbey I never heard of who wrote these films. And I watched 3 movies, a triple feature yesterday. I drank beer and watched movies about anarchism that take place in New Mexico. The first one was called Lonely Are the Brave, and it's about a guy who lives out on the range. He doesn't have ID. He's barbed wire. He cuts it. Doesn't. He's outside the rules of society. But it's the 1960s, and people are very conservative. And he comes into town because he hears that his friend got arrested, and his friend is sitting in jail. And his friend has like gone straight. His friend has a wife and a kid, and he's gone the normal way. He's tried to live a normal life, while the anarchist cowboy is out on the field on the range, living alone. Right, no ID. The guy in town in Albuquerque, which I think is great because I'm moving to Albuquerque, he got arrested. Why? Because illegal immigrants asked him where he could get a job. He gave them a place to stay for the night and told them where to get work.
Wow.
And
So
so
he
they
behaved like Jesus.
yes, and he said, "Why would I?" And why would you do something so stupid? You knew it was illegal. He said, "Well, they were already in the country, and now that they were already here, I figured they're just human beings." And
Logical. Yeah.
yes, and he's in jail, and he's got 2 years, and so this anarchist friend comes to break him out of jail. That's all. That's the move. That's what the movie's about. It's Kirk Douglas. Kirk Douglas says it was his favorite role to ever play. I did all this research on this film. But holy shit, the fact that the guy, his best friend's in jail for just giving information to illegal immigrants is like this movie was made fucking 55 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or no,
Yeah,
65 years ago.
It's almost as if these are problems that we've heard before. It's almost as if we've been through this once before, and history is just repeating itself.
Gotta do it again. Gotta do it again.
Gotta do it again.
The age-old friction, the age-old tension between the National Socialists and the Social Democrats. So anyway, so I'm watching this movie and I just loved it. I loved every second of it. It's in black and white, so I know you're super close-minded, but it's in,
Wait, it's a new movie. Fuck you. It's a new movie.
Oh, it was made in 1962 or 19.
I actually am. Yeah, I don't mind the black and white. I mind more the 62-ish, but maybe it's good. They can be good also since they're from 60. But if they're like the problem is kind of those movies. Some of them have this slow trumpet in the background, and you're like the guys aren't having great dialogue, but just like the slow trumpet. Okay.
I don't know what you're talking about. Slow trumpet. There's no slow trumpet in this. And Walter Matthau.
People know what I mean. The slow trumpet. But anyway, go on.
Anyway, he's gonna break out of jail, whatever. And Walter Matthau, a person I've actually met, which is so cool because I actually got to. I've met Walter Matthau. One of the most magical experiences when I worked at Disneyland in Club 33 was I got to meet Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon together right before Jack Lemmon died, and it was like fucking magical. It's a magical story I'd like to tell. I'm not going to tell it now, but he plays the sheriff who is also like, he relies on this infrastructure of the institution and like helicopters, and he's trying to catch the fugitive, but he doesn't want to catch the fugitive. He feels also victimized and trapped by the institution, and it was so great. The movie's so goddamn good. And in the end, there's even a part where someone says they'd rather go get a steak or something like that. And it's like, it reminded me of Cypher in the Matrix. Remember the Matrix where the Cypher's like, I just want to go back in the Matrix and get a steak. Dude, it's all about the Matrix. They want, like, some of the people want to go back to the Matrix and get the creature comforts of the Matrix. They don't want to be free. Even though they do want to be free, but they can't because they want the steak and the. All right, woo! And so because of that, and Gina Rollins is in. Anyway, I don't want to tell you about all these movies so intensely, but like just very quickly. So then, because I watched that, the same author had another movie called Edward Abbey, the same novelist. They made a movie in the 80s called Fire in the Mountain, starring Ron Howard and the guy from it's the guy from Beverly Hillbillies, the Clampett from Beverly Hillbillies, and it's really good. It's a made for TV movie, but I'm like, man, they used to make movies like this for TV. This is unfriggin' believable. In 81, so good. And then I watched the Milagro Beanfield War, which was made by Robert Redford in like in the 1999, maybe like late 90s, early 2000 something. And it was also fantastic. And there's a scene as well where all he wants to do is grow his beans, but the corporation and the government are working together, and he's not allowed to use the water that runs through his property. He's not allowed to. And all he does is like steal a little bit of his own water that's running through his land, and it causes this war in town. And there's a part where someone's like, he's like, whoa, I'm just growing beans, like, and he's like, someone says, I prefer steak. And I'm going, oh, this, like, the fact that it keeps happening in these, like, I feel like the Matrix picked that up. I feel like I just went to the source code of where the Matrix stole that idea. You know what I mean?
Could be. Yeah.
You ever see stuff like that where you see you go watch an old movie and there's a joke in it that you thought was funny in a movie that came out in 2020, and you watch a movie from 1955 and the joke was there, and you're like, that person watched that, stole that for this movie. Yeah, I feel like I stumbled into. Anyway,
I see what you mean.
So all the films, though, had this thing about America and about the government, the military, and how communities find love and what really makes them free. And I started thinking about my time in Europe. When someone asked me if I still love America, I would say, well, I love Americans. I love American people. There are Americans that I love, but loving America and this abstraction just seems unethical to me because it doesn't mean anything, Chip. I don't believe that it means anything.
No, it's just a concept that we created, isn't it?
But it's a concept that the state created. We didn't create that. We didn't create our community, and we might have some national pride, but that national pride only happens if we love our neighbors. Oh, wow. You got a protest outside?
No, it's hard to explain. Maybe I should close the window.
What
Sometimes It's just like so these I have like a small neighborhood football court here,
Mm.
and there's some teenagers playing, and then there's these other two teenagers who came on a motorcycle. And by the way, girls are playing also, not just guys. FYI, everyone. So
It's
shut
a
up.
co-ed soccer team in Amsterdam playing
Exactly.
outside your window.
And then two guys came, and they're like honked, and everyone's like, "Yay, they're coming!" And they went on
Yeah.
a motorcycle. I don't know. It's just good times. Just teenagers being teenagers. Let me close
S-
the window so
s-
that's
don't leave it. It's okay. It doesn't bother us.
okay. Then I'll leave.
Okay,
You'll hear the
so
teenagers
I
have
know how
fun.
hot it is there. I know that it's really hot in Amsterdam
Actually,
right now. It's
it's
gotten
quite
better.
nice.
Yeah. Okay.
It's gonna be hot again the end of next week, but otherwise quite nice.
The heat wave is moving.
Yeah.
So one of the things that got to me was especially in these man in a Man on Fire. It was a Man on Fire is the only one that's free, but not Man on Fire. Shit. Fire on the Mountain is the only one that's free. It's free on YouTube. The other ones I had to rent, which sucks because like, why am I paying for these subscription services? You fucks.
Yeah.
Like, why the fuck am I paying for these subscription services if then I have to buy a movie that I want to see? Like,
So
what
that
the
you
hell?
get the shitty movies, because they have like 25 shitty movies and one good one.
Yeah, exactly. Luckily, I had some credits, so I could get like a $3.99 rental, but they were fantastic. And but a lot of them were talking about how. So in the Fire on the Mountain, it's the military that wants to buy people's ranches and use them as like military installments, like missile silos and stuff. And that was a real thing that happened. And when they're like, no, I'm not going to sell. I don't want to. They're like, I don't understand you people. Don't you realize that it's for national defense? Don't you realize it's for your great nation? I don't get you people. I don't like it just it cringed me up, man. Cause I'm like, and then it becomes no, the people I'm loyal to is not you fucking military assholes. It's the people that I love in my community. These people, the people that taught me and raised me, and that I know and were there for me. So I had this whole idea like if my patriotism doesn't require me to care about my neighbor, what is it good for? What is it good for? All this bullshit that we do, waving
It's not.
flags. Doesn't mean anything. Who does it benefit then?
The politicians, I would say. I think it benefits I think it's a form of patriotism is a form of conservatism, isn't it? It's a form of let's stay this way, let's capture this way, let's create this identity. No, we don't really want this, but let's just keep doing this, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's jingoism,
What is jingoism?
Jingoism is extreme aggressive nationalism marked by a belligerent foreign policy.
Oh, sounds about right, yeah.
Extreme aggressive nationalism marked by a belligerent foreign policy. It involves an attitude of superiority over other nations and a blind, fanatical belief in the absolute virtue of one's own country, often resulting in an eagerness for conflict, war over diplomacy. Jingoism. Sorry, I knew you were going to ask that, so I looked it up real fast, so I don't mess it up.
That's okay. So wait, is this? But there's a difference between being a patriot and being a nationalist, right? Like what you said sounds more like a nationalist person, like a person who's.
Yeah, so like a nationalist socialist. I think national socialist is what it makes. I think that
not necessarily socialist, but just like nationalists, right? Isn't there like such a thing as a nationalist? And correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I know, a patriot is just somebody who's proud of their country, which is fine. I would say I'm a patriot to the Netherlands. I'm proud of what Netherlands is doing so far.
But see, I want to get deeper and deeper as we go. I want to find out about like Romania and stuff. But
we can do that.
That's a section 4. Yeah. We're gonna get to that. Yeah. But like, okay, so yes, nationalism versus patriotism. What does that mean? I think that this is still not a fair thing to talk about in abstraction, because again, even if you say you're nationalist or patriot, what does that mean? It means that you believe in the fabric of your nation. Well, what is that fabric made of? It's made of us. It's made of people. So it doesn't serve us to like salute the flag and hail whatever. Put your right hand up and all that. Doesn't serve you. It serves somebody else.
But I can understand. Like after I spent 3 months in the US, when I did with my sister and everything, when I came back to the Netherlands, I felt something. You feel something towards the cumulative things that make that society up. Sometimes, and for me, it's not necessarily that much the people, because I don't interact that much. I'm a little bit antisocial in that manner, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of the everything else around it, right? Like how things are made in a way that maybe relates to you the most, right? Like, I have a friend who lives in the Netherlands, and he feels that way when he goes to America, because he just likes driving everywhere. So
Yeah, I
it,
mean, sure, I get that, but then okay, so nationalism, traditional nationalism as an abstract demands loyalty to a symbol, border, flag, legal construct over the well-being of the people inside it. See, I think that what you were just describing is kind of like more about the well-being of people, maybe even the well-being of yourself, right? Like
yeah, yeah,
sometimes you might come home and you just feel safe, so that's something to do with your personal well-being. Sometimes you come home and you feel prideful because the streets are clean or whatever the things that you like,
yeah, yeah,
but it's
exactly, exactly.
yeah, but those things are because of the well-being of your community, right? But nationalism doesn't require that at all. Nationalism demands loyalty to these symbols that they've created, a flag, a construct, and it's top down, sacrifice the person for the state. And that's
Yeah, that's
chauvinism. That's
that's
fascism.
stupid. Yeah, that's stupid. Why? The state is just state is made of the whole people, and
That's what you would like to believe it, but the state really now is, the governments and the politicians and corporations that control us and want us to suppress us. You know.
yeah, yeah, I'll give you that. A lot of that is happening, and I also feel like, because I have this concept of culture, and I've been saying it a lot recently, and I think it applies to this also. Maybe we should let things just move if they want to move, right? Like, it's the same, like, because I think culture is part of this whole state idea, right? And I'm like, okay, well, for example, biking in the Netherlands is a thing, right? Everyone just wants to bike everywhere. But if a city that's, let's just put it somewhere closer to Germany, they're like, you know what, we don't want to bike or something, we just want to drive
Mm-hmm.
in most places.
Mm-hmm.
Let Just let them move in that direction, right? Like, we're not forced. I mean, unless it's bad for everyone, unless it's detrimental for the society or anything, right? Which driving generally is. But I mean, like, we should allow all these things that that define a country, that define us as individuals, to evolve, so that we get to the place where we are who we want to be. We don't just get forced into a position.
Right. But that what you're describing is anarchy. That's what you're talking about is true freedom, which I don't think is what Fourth of July is about. I don't think that
Oh,
these
of course not.
but they'll say freedom 250, but it's always about sacrificing yourself for the state, and that ain't freedom. So I got into thinking about a philosopher that we've talked about on this show before, Carol Gilligan. Carol Gilligan, Carol Gilligan. Morality comes from concrete relationships and responsibility to actual people, not abstract universal rules. That the world of ethics and morality is bottom up, not top down. And I think that that's something that, because you're a vegan, since you're a vegan person and a vegan activist, I think about how much everything in our relationships with animals are dictated by somebody else. Somebody else tells you, "Oh, you have to eat animals, you have to buy animals, you have to sell animals, you have to abuse animals." Because somebody else told you to, because the 10,000 ads every American sees every day are telling them that they should. Um, Maybe that's also one of my reasons that I don't like the vegan movement as much, because so much of it kind of addresses, oh, the you guys should treat animals better, rather than, no, you need to reject this top down world. We need a revolution. We need to start working from bottom up and not top down.
Well,
Reject the
both. We
orders of the
need
bosses.
both. We need
Yeah.
both. Yeah.
But I think what you said, the state only matters because the people in it matter, right? That was what I got from Carol Gilligan. Like,
I Yeah, I agree. It's everything you do in a state is for the people. Like, the state should adapt to the people, not the people to the state.
yeah. And I think too, with 4th of July, especially now, this is the 5th of July, everybody. We're recording on the 5th of July. Um, Loving America while ignoring the suffering of Americans. this is something that I think every 4th of July I think about. We are perfectly all right with poverty, lack of health care, marginalization, people getting triggered over the flag that's behind you, people getting triggered by this flag. Believe it or not, this flag, if people knew what it was, would be very triggered, but they don't know
What
what
is
it
it
is
though?
anymore. Huh?
What is it though?
This is Keith Haring's flag, and Keith Haring drew the electric child, and he drew these. He drew these. He was like a graffiti artist. He died of AIDS. He was a gay rights activist. But you
Oh,
see, but you see how they're like some people are getting crushed. There's always like some being crushed maybe, or some kind of sexuality with the stars. There's like the dancing and everything. People see them oftentimes as dancing, but there's always a subversive element to his art as well that people, if you know who he is, you know why he drew this flag. Um, but people are so dumb they don't know anything. People don't know what the flag behind you means.
oh, the LGBTQI
Yeah.
flag.
Well, I don't even know what the purple means. What is the purple? The
Is it
purple yellow,
queer? I
the
think maybe
purple
the queer.
circle. I don't know what the purple circle is.
I also don't know exactly. I think it's just they're just trying to be inclusive towards all the other.
Mm-mm. Well, I'm going to ask, what does the purple circle on the yellow field on the side of the LGBTQ flag? Intersex,
Intersex.
visibility, and inclusion. Um, okay, yellow and purple are traditionally gender neutral colors, were deliberately chosen to avoid traditional blue and pink associations with gender binary. The circle, unbroken, continuous circle, symbolizes wholeness, completeness, and bodily autonomy. The whole flag is called the intersex flag now. Um, but some people call it the progress pride flag. I just like the old pride flag myself, but this one, the purple means intersex flag. It's the wholeness and oneness of all. That's great.
I have a pride flag also in my window, so
Good for you. Good
yeah.
for you. I think that means no longer June, so I won't be putting it up behind me usually unless someone talks
I
shit.
think it's July for us here in Netherlands. So
Oh, really?
yeah, I think Pride Month is July because it Pride Parade is first weekend of August. So I'm guessing that's when it ends with the Pride Parade.
Oh. Hmm. That makes sense. Well, I guess like the thing with state worship, worshiping the state while people are being marginalized, I don't think that's patriotism, for example. And so maybe that's just nationalism. And patriotism is actually caring about your fellow compatriots, right? And it makes me just think that this is so perfect for America because it's worshiping a brand while the product rots. I think people would probably buy Louis Vuitton, um, even though, like, if you found out that Louis Vuitton was human skin, I think people would still buy it because the brand. You know, if you found out that it was dog skin, they would probably still buy it because Louis Vuitton has a brand. And I
Yeah,
think
I
that's
mean,
just so
I
American.
I think that's what I think. Brand is a big deal to all Americans. I think that's why most people voted for Trump because to
Hmm.
them he's a brand or something. Like I don't think people actually like that person. Well, they bite the bullet and they say they do, but he's a pretty bad person.
Yeah. He's a horrible human being. I mean, he's a pedophile for God's sake. Trish, by the way, man, there's this new show on HBO with Larry David. It's not very good, but it's like skits about American history. And there's one where he's like, George Washington goes, "I'm only gonna work. I'm only gonna work for 2 terms," and he's like, and we could put this in the amendment, and we can make an amendment for the Constitution like this. And he says, "What if there's a president that doesn't care about the what if there's a president in the future who's best friends with the pedophile and doesn't care about the Constitution?" They're like, no one would vote for somebody like that. And it's George Washington. I can't even fathom such a man. How would a man in America ever exist? And it's Larry David like, well, what if,
That's
did I
funny.
mention he's best friends with a pedophile? They're talking these just hypotheticals. But the other thing about nationalism too is that nationalism treats land as territory. So I was also thinking about that, right? When it comes to the border, something that we've talked about a lot. The border is always something that, I believe in our borders, that's my patriotism, that's my nationalism. And I don't think so at all. Like, a border is something that that demarcates what the state has conquered and exploited for power. But like ecofeminist morality and ethics, your love of country is the love of the actual ecosystem, right? The ecosystem of your country promotes well-being of the people. And I don't think you can have patriotism without caring about the ecology of that country, right? Because that's what sustains us. And so I think it's so weird that nationalism always looks at land as something to exploit and conquer, whereas true patriotism and morality and ecofeminism would talk about like how the soil, the water, and the local communities that rely on those things, how they work, how they're interconnected. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's really important. And I think that how we treat animals falls in there someplace.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah. Chip, I want to ask you about okay, so now we've talked about all the things I want to talk about with the philosophers. Um Skin the skinheads. Sure, let's skin the skinheads. That's fine. That's cool. I'm cool with that.
Can I ask you something before we get there, Sky?
Yeah.
I'm curious. Like, do you think patriotism or nationalism should be looked down on? Like, should we try to remove it? Should we be like, stupid, let's move on? Because I personally think it's stupid.
Patriotism or nationalism?
I think nationalism is stupid, right? Patriotism being proud of your country, as I said, that's what I take patriotism to be, and I don't have a problem with that. But nationalism, I think it's incredibly stupid.
So a second ago, I said National Socialism. You're like, oh, well, not necessarily socialism. And I think it is necessarily socialism because nationalism always places the public, a small sliver of the public over the benefit of all, over private property, over private profit. There's a small sliver that the National Socialists say, okay, this is the public and this is whom we love. We can make the world better for these people. It's usually white Christian,
of course, yeah,
Aryans, right? But it's not always. Fascism doesn't always have to be the white Christian national. It could be the Sunni Muslims. The Sunni Muslims hate the Shia Muslims, and the Sunni Muslim can be fascist and think that we can make the world a better place for Sunni Muslims while killing the Shia Muslims. Like that's fascism as well. It doesn't have to be an Aryan thing,
I want to ask this guy, by the way, he just reminded me of something. Yesterday, I did outreach in a place where there were a lot of drunk people in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this South African woman who said, and I haven't looked into it, but I don't think she's right, that now there is an apartheid against white people in South Africa.
But there isn't.
No, there isn't. Okay, I thought so.
No, I mean there's some things that have happened like nationalization of certain farms. There's been some reparations and stuff that kind of have been dodgy but like nothing like an apartheid where they're putting people in shanty towns and forcing them to live as second-class citizens. Imagine if that happened in South Africa. Give me a fucking break.
The same woman said that South Africa was best before 1994. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a white lady talking?
And she said she's not a racist. I think you're kind of a racist. I think she was kind of a racist.
That's just fascism. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane to me. Before 1994, South Africa was better. That's crazy. There's a lot of racist South Africans. Have you ever heard that song? I never met a South African that I like. Have you heard that song? Because they're all racist bastards. No, like it's a great English kind of. I've always heard it at like soccer matches and stuff.
I mean, all I can say is that whenever I hear that a white man is being oppressed, I'm like, well, sure, maybe one individual can be, but not because they're white or like I've never heard of somebody of having the skin color white and being oppressed for it. I've never heard that.
Well, that's what white privilege is, right? White privilege isn't that you are privileged so that you're never oppressed. It's that your race is not the reason why you're oppressed. That's what white privilege is. I wish that it was a better word for it, right? Like you could be oppressed, you could be suppressed and held down and beaten, battered, but it's usually not because you're white. At least not in this country or any country considered that that white people call the West, right? White people call Western civilization everything in, like, I guess Western Europe and plus Australia.
I think it's just that white people have had a lot of privilege everywhere, and as they move through life, they realize they're no longer going to have as much privilege, or they're just finally have as like that's just being equalized. They're losing their privilege, and I think that just means to them that they're losing rights or something. But no, they're losing privilege. That's it.
No, I don't think it's just that. Like this idea of they're losing something. Everybody's losing something right now, right? Because there's trillionaires, there's billionaires, there's more billionaires and trillionaires, and all of us have less. And so they'll be like, well, why aren't I having as much as my grandfather did? Why am I working more and getting less than my grandfather did? And you start looking around and you're like, well, it's because of all these other races. Of course, the billionaire will tell you it's because of all these racial things happening. It's a lie. It's not it's not that they're losing privilege. We're all losing. You think it's affecting Black communities more. It's worse for them. Like they're losing their houses too. They're unable to buy houses.
So what you're saying is that the white people are losing their privilege, but the other races are losing even more of the privilege.
Well, it's not that they're losing the privilege. So white privilege is still a thing. That doesn't just go away. You don't lose white privilege, right? White privilege just means I walk down the street and if a cop fucks with me, it's not because I'm white. It's because of something else. Cops suck. But I could say cops fuck with me too, because when I was young, they fucked with me a lot. They fuck with me because I was out late at night. They fuck with me because I had jobs that kept me out late. They fuck with me all the time. The cops always been fucking with me, but they're not fucking with me because I'm white.
No, because you're a cis, straight, white, tall, white man.
I stand out in a crowd.
You're known to being difficult.
I'm a difficult person. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but that's it. So my point is, when police have put their hands on me, it's not because I'm white. It's because I'm involved in a protest or because I'm doing, whatever I'm doing. That's what the privilege is. It's not that you got, I don't know. People think of white privilege like, oh, you got the car loan because you were white. No, that's not. White privilege is there. Now that's being a beneficiary of racism, sure, but that's not what white privilege is. Anyway, the point is that there's a lot of white people out there that are looking on their grandfathers and being like, what the fuck? My dad made more money than me than I am at my age. What is going on?
Yeah.
And the boss that's because Black people.
Yeah, but it's because of, well, I don't want to say capitalism, but just the whole system is made to benefit the rich people now, and the rich people just get away with everything, and they barely pay any taxes. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's worse than ever. Yeah, it's worse than ever. Arguing about racism is like arguing for better conditions for animals. Arguing about racism, I guess. I don't know if that's like, let's say, the sky before inflation too. Yes, and before inflation as well. I told you, like, I looked at my dad's tax returns from when I was in high school, and he was making as much money as I was at the height of my career without adjusting for inflation. Like, so he was making way more than I am. And I'm like, no wonder he could have 2 kids and a wife and a house. You know, my dad he was never rich, but he had a house and a wife and 2 kids.
I mean, just you wait, Sky. I don't know if you've heard. Oh, I'm kind of changing the subject again. I'm sorry.
It's okay. The next subject is you, so it's okay. Go ahead.
Just you wait. The whole AI stuff that's happening. Everyone's kind of like against it a little bit. It's going slowly against AI, and they're going against Claude, ChatGPT, and all this stuff. But
wrong place. Yeah.
Meanwhile, corporations are literally replacing workers with robots. So while you're upset about ChatGPT and OpenAI and all this stuff, which you should be, I still think you should be somewhat upset about everything they're doing, and the fact that they use.
What are you upset about, Claude? I'm only upset that the military is using Claude. I'm not upset about Claude. I'm upset that military used Claude.
I'm upset that all this costs money because they use information that we all created. I don't think I think that it should be monumentally cheaper if they really want to do that, or it should be, Wait a minute. This could not possibly be what it is without our
Wait a
information. It
second.
just
Wait a
couldn't.
second. Wait a second. Are you saying because of the vast human experiment, all of the humanity that has contributed to all of the means of production, that humans themselves should own the means of production, and that shouldn't be in the hands of a few capitalists? What are you,
Yeah.
crazy?
Yeah. How dare we say? How dare we say that the humans should have rights and their rights should be respected and everyone should be treated equally financially also, like we shouldn't be oppressing them financially
Like the
because
fact that
I've
this is so funny to me. Like the vast generations of people who have died creating stuff and worked and toiled to make all of these things possible, and then we get to this point and they're like, no, this part's just for us. And it's like, wait a second, we all did this, we were all working on this. Crazy.
it is, and that's what upsets me. But either way, like again, as nobody knows, nobody's like, not a lot of people are as upset about robots because they're not so much in the news, but they are taking over. So we're slowly going to have less and less jobs. These assholes are going to go rich and richer, and I don't know. Like we will have a revolution. I don't see it any other way, Sky. I'm like, I'm with you more and more these days. I'm like there's no, like, you either do something about it, a revolution through change, or a revolution through people rising up and being like, we want that change. This just is gotta stop.
The sad
Like,
thing is that we're going to have a bloody revolution because everyone knows that we have no power at this point. That
because people are
voting.
stupid, Sky. Because humans are stupid. Do you know the whole thing
No, they're
about
not. They're not all
alcohol?
stupid. They just can't. What are they supposed to do, man? What the fuck are
Sky,
they
do you know the
supposed to
thing
do?
about alcohol? This is what makes humans stupid.
Thing about
So
alcohol.
if you give a monkey alcohol, they'll have fun. They'll, like, like they'll be
Yeah.
like I think bonobo monkeys, they tried, and they'll have fun. They'll drink. They'll be like, "Woo, yeah, we're having fun."
Yeah, they get drunk.
But the next day when they get a headache, they're like, "Fuck that! I don't want to get. I'm not doing this again. I don't like that. I don't like what I get afterwards." Well, a human being will be like, "Fuck that! I don't like it," but might as well try again. Like, no, we
guess
have.
I don't think the bonobo has the crippling self doubt and internal monologue that the human being in the capitalist system has. The bonobo might feel powerless in a zoo, but I don't think they. I don't know. I don't know, man. It's hard for me to think of us in comparison to bonobos when it comes to alcohol. Like, what are you trying to say, that because we drink a lot we're stupid?
No, I'm trying to say that we as humans, because of cognitive dissonance, which we call it as a form of how should I put this, superpower. We say it's because you're cognitively advanced. That actually makes us worse at a lot of things. That actually makes us stupider, including when it comes to injustice. Like, why is it that history is repeating itself? It's not that there's not a lot of people who, like, there's a lot of people who are educated about history. They see the signs and still history repeats itself.
Yeah, but not
Why?
enough, because I think it's because we have generations of we don't have generational memory, right? Like we organize society and then we build infrastructure in order to keep bloodbaths from happening. And then by the next generation, we think these institutions are horrible. We start getting economic anxiety and we got to cut off people's heads again. And people feel powerless, Chip. Like, I don't think people are stupid when it comes to AI. They just feel like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? People are doing stuff about it, like these flock cameras. People are cutting down the camera poles. People are out there doing stuff, but it's not enough.
I don't mean just that. Like, I don't mean just that. I mean, like, there's a lot of, obviously there's a lot of people who are trying to do something about it, but I feel like there's so many people out there who are like, we know it's gonna, like, honestly, I still at this point I have to refer to the Trump supporters, because at this point I'm like, you guys, I know you're living worse, right? Like, you have to be a little bit stupid to think you're living better. Like, there's something has to be, like, you just had to have so much emotional immaturity that you were feeling so bad about somebody telling you just use the right pronouns, and you felt so bad about that now you're lashing out so much that you'd rather feel physically worse, have a worse country, everyone around you suffer, also that you can use the R word and not have to use pronouns or something. Like,
they're gullible, dude. I think that they know all the things you're saying are true, but when you say all that, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, the gas prices are up. There's a war in Iran, but he closed the border," which also isn't true. But they believe it because they never been to the fucking border. They never crossed a border. Most Americans don't have passports. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they believe, oh, he obliterated the nuclear plant, the nuclear. It's like, well, did you see any of that? No, you didn't see any of that. What evidence do you have? Well, he told me he did.
Yeah. Therefore, he did it.
Therefore, he did it. They're just gullible.
You can't trust the
Maggers.
government, but you can't trust MAGA. You can't trust the government, but you can trust Trump.
Yeah, Trump is the government. Trump is America now. I mean, his birthday party, like the UFC thing. He's like, "This is for America." No, it wasn't. It was for your birthday. You did it on your birthday. My birthday is America's birthday. No, it is not. What are you talking about?
Anyway.
Crazy. I wanted to ask you, Chip, your dual perspective on Romanian and Dutch as a Dutch citizen.
Yeah.
So, how did your sense of identity shift from moving from Romania to the civic-minded Netherlands? Did you lose your belonging from your shared history, shared social contract? Like, did you lose something when you moved to Netherlands?
So before I moved outside of Romania, I was afraid to move because of this one thing that one friend told me. They said, people who move out of Romania, although they enjoy their life more there, they feel like they don't belong there, but they also, when they come back, they feel like they no longer belong to Romania anymore. And I was so afraid of that, but I never felt like I belonged to Romania anyway. So for me, it was always like, okay. I mean, I always just had my close circle group, bubble friends who were kind of smart. And then when you go outside of it, you're like, kind of sucks. So
yeah,
that's what I miss. But everything else, otherwise, no, I don't feel any big difference for me because I identify a little bit more with the Dutch, but same thing. I'm still in my own bubble. I still interact with my own nice people.
It's funny because you just struck a chord because I left California when I was really young. I was like 19 when I left for good. And then when I was 25, I came back to go to college. And then I lived up in the north for a little while. And then after about four years, I left and went to Virginia and then I went to Nevada. So I feel like I haven't really done the math. So like if you don't count my infancy, I probably have lived other places more than I've lived in California, but I'm from here. And this move that I'm about to make is harder because and every time I've come back, I've come back a different man. I'm older, I'm wiser, I've traveled, I've lived in other countries, I speak all these different languages now. I lived in Japan and blah 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 blah. And then I come back and I don't feel like I belong there, but I also don't feel like I belong anywhere else. So I feel like I belong in California. But here's what's crazy now.
Yeah.
I moved back. I've been back for about 8 years. COVID kind of fucked up that number, I think, a little bit. But I've been back. And now everyone's dead that I know. I have some friends here. But my family's not. And I'm about to leave. And I feel like I'm losing a huge anchor. I feel like I'm losing my home. Even though I don't. So I wonder, is that illustrative of the idea that the place that we love is about the people we love? And I guess like when I leave, I feel like I'm losing my mother again. I'm losing my family. I'm losing my history. How would you feel, do you think? Like you go back to Romania still. What's going to happen when your parents aren't around anymore? Your sister doesn't live there anymore?
Probably not gonna go there. Maybe go there from time to time. There is something I miss. It's hard to explain. I grew up in a small town in Romania, which was a poor small town. So we had, the Soviet blocks and barely any like people just making order out of themselves because the country just got out of communism. They barely had the government. We didn't even have I was telling somebody who was fascinated by this, we didn't even have VAT for the first 7 years or something. Like we had absolutely no tax in the country for a while. And like there was something special about those moments because there was a lot of unity around people, around my neighborhood, around, like, you just knew that, like, that's something I get in the Netherlands also, but it's something that I really really did enjoy there. But combined with the whole vibe of rusty train tracks,
Mhm.
Soviet grunge style, it just reminds me, like, I remember with the first time, I because I lived in that town, and I remember the first time I went to, like, in my town, people, by the way, it's a town where it's the name is loosely translated something like the German rock, and
Mhm.
there's a lot of people there who follow the rules. Like, I learned you never crossed on the red light, and you never
Mhm.
do. Like, I never crossed on the red light up until I went to Bucharest. And when I went to Bucharest and I saw people, Sky, I was like, you're not gonna, this is funny that I saw people on the grass sitting on their butt on the grass. And I was just
Mhm.
mind blown by that, because in my town, nobody sits on the grass. The grass is there for decoration. It's nice, it's clean. You don't walk on it, you don't sit on it. It's just there to look pretty. And when I went to Bucharest and I saw people sitting on the grass, people sitting on the stairs and playing cards, I was just like, holy shit, this looks like liberty to me. And it's all like the feeling that I get when I go to Bucharest now, it still sticks with me, that whole freedom thing, that beautiful freedom thing. Everybody just does, like, it's kind of fucking sucks when you live there because everyone just does whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
But there still is a little bit of that freedom spirit, which I love. And
Dude,
I'm not
that makes me think of Mexico. Every time I'm in Mexico, I feel that way. I feel like, yeah, there's some rust and it's rough around the edges and not everything's clean all the time. But man, everyone's kind of free. You don't feel like people are telling you. It just feels like you're kind of doing your own thing a little bit more. Like,
yeah.
I think I get what you mean. Like,
It's hard. It's hard because I have a lot of interesting things, I keep thinking about it, and I keep trying to verbalize what it is that I'm feeling. But there definitely is a feeling that I have towards that culture, towards that feeling there. But then,
mm,
Sky, I go there, and then I get angry, because that's the thing about it, isn't it? Like, while that whole beautiful thing that I romanticized is still there,
yeah.
there's also the other things. The problems are still there, and I'm
Mm,
like, the problems always have been more than that thing that I romanticized, that thing that I loved about it. The problems are way more than that. So then I leave, and the problems aren't made because of the system anymore. And that's the most fucked up system, Sky, because I thought the problem is the system, the problem is the government, the problem is all that
mm-hmm,
stuff. We got into the European Union. We got the European laws. We got the European money. We got to building. We made all the stuff that we said were missing. And I thought, you know what? If
mm-hmm.
we had those, it would be
It'll be
better.
paradise.
No, because people are still the same. For instance, a lot of hospitals are now great. But now, if you call an ambulance, the ambulance people will still be like, as I don't know if I told you, but this one guy got hurt. I saw it on YouTube. He got hurt on his bike, like a car literally ran over him. It
Yeah.
wasn't bad hurt. He called the ambulance because that's what you legally have to do.
Mm-hmm.
The ambulance, first of all, the fact that he wasn't badly hurt, and a lot of people on the street were uh, like they were pointing a finger at him and like, how dare you call the ambulance? You're not hurt. Like, how dare you call the ambulance? Maybe they have better things to do. Bro, this is the law. That's what you have to do. Anyway. And when the ambulance came, he was really scared, this guy. And the ambulance was like, what the hell's wrong with you? Why are you so scared? You're okay. Just calm down. Like, this is the type that this is like, it's apparently the people were the problem. Just the people, the frustration of the people. And if the system is no longer there, or maybe there still are some issues, but I think just Romania transitioned from a shitty system
To
to
another
a
shitty
system
system.
now. To actually, they transition from a shitty system for one reason to a shitty system for a different reason, because they transition from a shitty system that didn't have enough laws, that didn't have enough, I don't know, the proper rules put in place, to a
Yeah.
system that now has the laws and rules put in place. But now we also have that capitalism thing, which is rich people getting richer and poor people getting poorer. So you still have the frustration now because people are still not earning enough to make a
It's
living.
so
So I'm
funny.
like,
So basically, you have the same bullshit, but some people are rich.
exactly. We
Yeah.
essentially ended up in a similar situation, and obviously people are way better off than they were. But it's
Mm.
just we constantly just move a little bit further and then a little bit backwards. So I don't know. It's hard to explain. So I have such mixed feelings about Romania because every time I go there, I'm like, this is so nice. And every time I go there, I'm also like, oh fuck me, why I know why I left. So it's very difficult.
Well, at least do they charge you? Because if here in America, if you get hit by a car and you get your ambulance, they're gonna come over, treat you very similarly, and very kind of like you're just a piece of cattle that they're gonna taxi to the hospital, and then they'll send you a check. No, I'm sorry, they'll send you a bill. They'll send you a bill
Yeah,
for $1,000 or something, so that you have to pay for your ride.
of
I mean,
course.
like, do they do that?
$1,000. Holy shit.
Do they
Nope,
say
I'll
that,
take the
Rams?
taxi. No, thank you. Let me
Well,
take a cab.
it
Let me take
depends
an
on
Uber.
how much drugs they give you on your way. Then
Let me
they're
take an
gonna
Uber X. Let me take an Uber. What is it? What's the luxury Uber now? Because there's a luxury Uber, right?
the black car. The
The black car. Yeah.
it's funny. In America, a lot of people take Uber for hospitals. Lots.
It's
a
much
big thing.
cheaper.
It's way cheaper.
Even the
Mhm.
Uber Black is much cheaper, huh?
Yeah, I mean Uber. There's the whole thing where Uber drivers have people like bleeding in their cars, dying in their cars because they're trying to get them to the hospital, and and
Yeah.
it's too expensive to take an ambulance. Sid Life, yeah, who formed the laws in the banking? I feel like that European Union. It doesn't solve the problems that you need solving. That's what it just sounds like to me. Great, you're in the European Union.
Well, we got more money, right? Like we
Yeah,
always
you get
thought
money
we
for
as
what though?
Romanians.
For more police.
No. We got money to build stuff, and there was a lot
That's
of
true.
building stuff, right? Like
They
we
build
built
stuff.
highways. We
They build
built
stuff so that companies from Germany can manage the building.
That's what happened.
Yes, of
Sky,
course they
that's
did,
the
yeah.
insane thing that happened. We got money to
The
build
steel
stuff.
comes from Germany. The steel comes from
But
Germany.
now-
The management comes from Germany. Mhm.
So I did notice one thing, and I was talking to my parents also as well. Like it's insane to me that I was here in the Netherlands and I found this amazing protein bar that I loved, and I looked at in the back and it said made in Romania, and I'm like, holy shit, I can hardly wait to go to Romania to buy this. I go to Romania and I couldn't find it anywhere, Sky, because this company was only making it for export. So
yeah, it's like Sour Patch Kids made in Turkey, but no one eats them in Turkey, but they're all made in Turkey.
So there's this insane thing happening. It's happening a lot in the European Union, which I think a lot of people are complaining, but it's happening way more with the Eastern country than with the Western, because here in the Netherlands, almost everything is made here. Like I just like, I look everywhere, I find a lot of Dutch things, but there, or maybe Polish, whatever, but like West, there in Romania, it's mostly everything is imported. And then we also export a lot of stuff. So I'm like, why is it that we do this when everyone just wants the products that they were always used to, the products that grew in our country? So
progress.
That's what I'm like. I feel like
how are you going to get rich just selling to Romania? You can't get rich selling protein bars to Romanians. They don't buy Romanians don't buy protein bars. You got to ship that shit to the Netherlands.
So that's what I feel like we did, right? We went from one place to the next place, which is like we had some problems now. Those problems are fixed now, but now we're at different problems. And they're not problems that arise because of this. Like it's not because of the products that they arrived. They're just problems that shouldn't have even arisen. Like how do we get there now?
Well, I bet you also $100 that company is not owned by Romanians. I would bet any money that it's a company from the Netherlands who has it manufactured in Romania and then shipped because it's cheaper to use labor in Romania to make the protein bars and probably to buy the oats or whatever the hell's in the protein bar. It's cheaper to do all that over there and ship it to the Netherlands. And they don't even advertise in Romania. They probably don't even it's not a Romanian company. I mean, that's what we do. Like we have Japanese companies who make cars here, or what we do, we what do? We make cars in China. We make everything in China, and then we ship it over around the world. And it's an American company. The Apple, right? Apple makes everything in China and then ships it around the world. If you thought you were going to come to America and go to the Apple factory, no, it's the same shit made in China.
I have another example because I saw people here in the chat talking about cops, and I'm like, another good example. The problem with police officers where they were extremely corrupt. They were like, they took like bribing police officers was like, what do you mean you didn't bribe them? Are you stupid? Of course you bribed them, like that was just a big deal.
That's what we do.
Now nobody bribes police officers anymore, but now also police almost never come anymore. And when they come, they complain about having to do their job, essentially. They're like, oh God, this guy again. no, that's not how the law is. Okay, I know the law. I'm a police officer. Leave me alone. This isn't
Yeah.
how the law is. Even if you show them the law, they're like, well, no, that's not a good manual. So you just like that's what I mean. Like I don't know if it's a result of capitalism or if it's a result of. I tend to believe it's the same frustration. People remain in the same frustration because the frustration is the same. People are just poor,
Well, part
and
of it, yeah,
because of
they're poor, but the problem is, dude, people think that, oh, there's crime. What would solve this? More cops. What would solve? How do we get more cops? We need to pay them more. We need to hire more cops, and we need to keep them from taking bribes, and
yeah,
and then it'll be solved. We'll have, and it turns out more cops does not solve it. More cops does not solve your poverty. More cops doesn't solve crime. The cops don't do that job, right? Like they don't want to be called.
or another corruption was big in Romania. So what did we do? We created this system where that has a balance that checks for corruption, and they have cars, Sky, that have like the blue lights on top, so they can go stop people in traffic and stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, they must go after the big guys, the corruption. They're anti-corruption essentially. No, they go after the little guys. As if those are the problem with corruption. As
What
if
do you think's
corruption has
happening?
always been.
Okay, but why do you think that's
What
different
the
than what's happening in the
fuck?
Netherlands? You think the Dutch cops are any different?
So I don't think they're any different. I don't think they're any different, but I do think that there is a little bit of a difference here because I feel like people here are a little bit more united than everywhere I've ever been.
So
The
that's what I
Netherlands
wanted to
has
ask you, because when I think about the Netherlands, I think of their like civic mindedness, right? They're not. It's not
so
that they're
much.
united, but they think like, oh, Amsterdam with the three X's, and it's like this, like very proud of our town, and they even help clean it up and shit. Like they're like they really care about their community and their
My
town. It's weird.
neighbor, my neighbor every morning comes and sweeps all of the sidewalk for everyone. And we have a machine who does that, but she doesn't. The machine comes too rarely, so she likes cleaning it up for everyone.
She likes having a clean
Amazing
town.
person.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's something that is very special about Amsterdam, and not many towns have that. I've been to towns all
Yeah.
over America, and most places are not like that. How do we have
I'll,
that? How do we get that? Where does that come from?
I mean, there's a part of the Dutch culture, do normal. Essentially means be normal, don't stand out too much.
Yeah, that sounds like Japanese, like the nail that sticks out gets hammered down.
I like that. That's a nail that sticks out gets hammered down.
It's a Japanese saying. When I lived in Japan, man, that's what they would say. A nail that sticks out gets hammered down. Like, don't. In America, we say, "Don't rock the boat, don't make waves."
It's this idea like, hey, and I feel it more and more like, hey, we're all like in this together. Like we all want to live better. We all want that. So that's kind of how I felt a lot coming here and being here. But I also have seen a lot recently, which is stupid to me. The movement also coming here to the Netherlands. The
Nazis.
the bro movement, the Nazis, the getting rich, the Elon Musk is good, the I want to have a fancy car better than everyone else type. I'm like, what? Nobody gives a shit about that. And kind of like, I think like if you have like one of those fancy cars, other than teenagers, most people look at you and are like, what the fuck's wrong with you, man?
I think that's the way it should be. I think people should be embarrassed of their wealth, but it's not yet. It'll happen though. Once those heads start rolling, we'll see. Then all of a sudden they're like, I don't have a car like that. What do you mean? I don't. You see it happen so quickly. Do you remember when Elon Musk was doing Doge, and people were like putting stickers on? They're covering up the logo on the Tesla and like putting stickers on their Tesla to show that I'm not one of them. Trust me, I'm not. I think that just goes to, and they barely anything happened. Like there was one fire at a dealership. There were a couple people keyed a couple cars. I think a couple charging stations were lit on fire, and people all over America were putting stickers on their cars like, I bought this car before I knew he was horrible. I mean, I think that'll happen when the revolution kicks off. I think people are not going to be driving their Ferraris.
I hope so, Sky, because
they'll leave the Ferrari at home.
Yeah, like I saw yesterday, I saw somebody in a really weird looking funky car, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
this guy was happy. Like I could tell that he just really liked the car. It was a funky car. It wasn't something you drive. Obviously a rich person, because who the fuck can afford a car like that? And just for the sake of driving it, always convertible type of car. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't have a problem with that. It didn't stick out. It wasn't look at me now. Just look at me. This is my car.
Mm-hmm.
But I also saw a Lamborghini, which I'm like, who buys a Lamborghini in the Netherlands? That's like, huh? You
Okay, so all these things with these
why?
stupid cars, it's just more branding. It's like having a Louis Vuitton bag or something.
Yeah,
I think it's so much cooler if you've got a Honda and you pimp it out yourself and you put the stripes on it, you make it unique to you. It's so much cooler than going and paying and buying a brand and being like, this is cool. Look at what somebody else. It's people who have no class. They have no personality, and so they feel like they can buy one. But Chip, I was going towards something because this idea
let's go.
between civic pride and ethnic nationalism. What you were saying was that in the Netherlands and Amsterdam, they do feel this like united this unity or something. I call it civic pride, but there's something that kind of binds them together. And I would wager that it's not ethnicity. I would say it's not this blood and soil bullshit that we say in America, where if you're born here, you're American, and yeah, they call it blood and soil nationalism. I was born on this land, my blood comes from this. I think maybe you could tell me, because Europe seems to draw like a really strict line between that, like infrastructure, healthcare, safety nets. That's what makes our community. That's what makes us prideful about our civic. That's what makes us prideful about our nation, is that we take care of each other. America doesn't do that. We don't take care of other Americans. We shit on other Americans. There's a huge portion of America thinks that starving kids in America is a-okay.
Honestly, it's hard to say, Sky, because I don't think that's true about America. And I think I think America just gets a lot of Americans, they just get bogged down by identity politics a lot, right? Because in reality, I think that if you see a person suffering, Americans will stop, Dutch people will stop, Romanian people will stop, because you empathize with them and you're like, "Well, are you okay? What's going on?" If you see a person fallen on the side, you stop, you call an ambulance, you help out, right? Like in every situation where we have this proximity to somebody, we choose and we stop, right? But I think
Something kicks in when there's
yeah,
something right in front of you,
exactly.
right? Something kicks
But the
in.
problem is, yeah, when it's not in front of you, because that's what you're saying, right?
Well,
Like
I'm
when it's
talking
not
about
in,
nationalism. How can it be in front of you? Motherfuckers in Washington, D.C. I got nothing to do with this guy. Why am I waving
yeah.
this flag and lighting fireworks for something that happened? And these people they're not rebels and revolutionaries anymore. They hate rebels and revolutionaries. So, like, this idea that I'm going to blow up shit in the air to celebrate something that happened 250 years ago, when we don't subscribe to those values today. What's the point?
Yeah, but like I don't know, like you tell me, because I'm like, when I first went to the US and every time I go, I'm just amazed by the amount of flags, the amount of marketing the US gets, the amount of USA,
Yeah.
like this, like America is. I'd like to think of it as marketing. Like people just there's this huge incentive for America's marketing, and coming from the European Union, I thought that's actually pretty smart, because European Union doesn't have a lot of marketing, and you see countries still being like, my country is better or something, right? And then they don't cling to this idea of European Union being actually great, because that's what actually makes all of this freaking great. Europe grew so much because of everyone uniting and working together, because we all said, you know what, yeah, you have your culture, I have mine, we're going to share a little bit of it anyway. But first and foremost, we can share the ideas together. We can say, look, we cannot let this big ass corporations trump over all of us. Together we have power against them, and all this kind of stuff. And I think that we lack that, but somehow you guys have that, but still have that other thing. Like it's mind-boggling to me. It's just I thought I have the answers, Sky, but I don't.
The problem is that when you see the waving flags and all that stuff and this branding, a lot of it is this blood and soil nationalism, that my people were born here and that's why I'm proud of this, right? It's not actually about hey, we take care of people. We have something that we can be proud of. We don't do anything that we can be proud of. We just have these borders that are enforced by the military, and so a
You
lot of
have
it's
freedom.
military.
You have
Huh?
freedom to be proud of. You have freedom to be proud of. I felt like a lot of people in America are proud of the freedom, right?
They're proud of choice. I think they're proud
Yeah,
of like
freedom to choose.
yeah, they're proud that they have 25 different bagels they can get when they go to the bagel store. But they freedom, like I don't think we do have freedom in America. Like it's damn near against the law if you have a big enough audience to make fun of the president. It's damn near against the law if you have a university to teach what you want at your university. Like like what do you mean freedom? I mean, the president has sued Harvard and Columbia
I
University, and like that's not freedom.
I do think it's degrading. Like, don't get me wrong. I do think, like, while in the past you could say, you know what, maybe this country isn't perfect, maybe we have our problems, but hey, everyone's welcome here. We have freedom. You can be whatever you want here. You just gotta work hard, right? That was the whole American dream.
That's the
Everyone can
idea, but
come
I don't
here.
think does
You
that
just
still
gotta work
exist?
hard.
I think that
No, it
was
doesn't. No,
no.
because it's clearly they just say don't come here. What do you mean? We hate
Literally get on
immigrants.
TV, and that's Democrats and Republicans now. Well, like Kamala Harris, don't come to this country.
Yeah, like what is
What?
this? Like,
Like
yeah,
tear
like I
down the
feel like
Statue of Liberty, get rid of it.
yeah. So what is it indeed that you should be proud of as an American? Because
Well, that's my question, and that's what I think it all boils down to. We what you just described is what I wish. What you just described is what I wish Americans would be proud of. That we're open culture, everyone's welcome. Our way of life is about liberty and prosperity, and and our civic duty to one another. That we will help you when you get here. You'll help me when I get there. Like this idea of American exceptionalism, but it's gone. And maybe it was never there. Maybe my memories and my brainwashing, even from before I was born, maybe it was
maybe
all
it was all
bullshit.
just maybe it was all just marketing. Huh?
Maybe it was all just marketing. Because what it is today is blood and soil nationalism. And when I see 4th of July, and have you ever heard of like who Frederick Douglass was?
No.
Okay, so Frederick Douglass was a slave, um, and he wrote this thing about what is the 4th of July to the 4th of July for Frederick. He wrote this essay about 4th of July, and he said that so in 1852 on July 5th, he gave a famous speech, which was he exposes the hypocrisy of American independence. He argues that while the white Americans celebrate liberty on the 4th of July, it's a day of mourning and cruel mockery for enslaved black people. Um, like how Douglas famously answered his titular question by stating, "This 4th of July is yours, not mine. You may rejoice, I must mourn." He pointed out that celebrating national freedom while millions of Americans were held in chains revealed gross injustice. This like that was 1852, man, and
Yeah.
and 4th of July was a thing back then, and you had literal a freed slave giving a speech about how the fuck can you talk about liberty and justice? How dare you? And he was exposing the marketing hypocrisy or the hypocrisy of our marketing. Maybe that's just maybe I'm just like waking up more as maybe Donald Trump is that wake up call. He just shows it. He's open about it.
I don't think that's what it is, Kai. I think what is happening in America and pretty much worldwide is that I think before Trump, right? Before this, what happened was we started changing things. We started saying, hey, trans people need to be accepted. You need to accept pronouns. You need to, like all these social changes started happening. And I think there was a particular group of people who, well, obviously they were the ones who had an incentive to that they didn't like that happening and they fought against it. But I also think there were a lot of people who just felt uncomfortable with it, right? They felt, oh, what if I say the wrong pronoun? What if I like people who are just like they don't like discomfort, and because they don't like discomfort, they ended up aligning with these other individual. They ended up like
You know
maybe
what's
they saw
crazy
somebody
about that
being
though, Chip?
shamed.
But what's crazy is that discomfort was never theirs. They appropriated someone else's discomfort. Most of the people you're talking about never met a fucking trans person. They never had to
No,
make
it's
those
100%,
adjustments about the pronouns or
100%.
anything. Like I could get it where like, oh, whoa, I got someone told me I got to change the way I talk about pronouns. Well, if you're in the middle of fucking Alabama, that barely ever happens. So what are you pissed about? Like,
Well, I think it was that whole cancel culture that really made a number, right? Because I think that what happened was like somebody said something, and everyone will like there were a lot of people who were like, "Well, I don't really get why that's wrong,"
okay,
and then
Chip,
that
all right,
person got so
Chip.
much shit on,
Where
right?
did cancel culture come from?
Let me just walk through this and see if this is, and then we'll ask that, right? Like, and that person gets so much shit on, and then the regular people just saw like, oh shit, I don't want to be your dad on the street, and I'm afraid now. So I kind of agree with this person. It's not normal. And then they started being against. And I don't think like, right, there was this whole article recently showing the points that people agree left versus right, and left was very small, and right was like, so they barely agree on anything. Like they just have so much variety of opinions. And it's not because they are so much more intelligent or something, but rather because, or more open-minded, but rather because they just all unite under this idea that I don't want to be shamed for or something. I'm afraid I'm running away from this shame. But
Okay, I'm with you for a second, but let me address that
yeah,
before. Agus, one thing I learned about working for multimillionaire people, they wealthy don't spend life money on stupid things. Bullshit, man. That's
nobody
fucking
does that
bullshit.
also.
I've worked
Who
with
does that?
so many millionaires, and they all have stupid cars. They all had a stupid, or they have a collection of cars that they keep in a fucking warehouse. I've known so many with collections of Porsches or fancy fucking Lamborghinis and shit. I've known so many with big stupid buildings that they didn't need, or big stupid mansions that they didn't need, that they couldn't possibly fill. I knew a guy who had a ranch and a bunch of horses, and it was all pimped out like a palace. Don't tell me that. Come on now.
Yeah.
Come on, man. All right. So Chip, I totally am with you, because like I remember during the height of the cancel culture thing, you would have people like record somebody that didn't know they were being recorded, and they would say the N
Yeah.
word or something, and then they would
Yeah.
get canceled. It's like, dude, all right, nobody should be saying the N word in public. But if this guy says the N word when he doesn't know he's being recorded, is it fair
Yeah.
to can't? You know what I mean? Like, I get
And
that.
also maybe he doesn't really understand the whole repercussions of why he's saying the N-word, right?
He
Like if
doesn't know
he's
he's being
like,
recorded. Like, I remember that happened a lot. Or like, they said something like the police cams got Mel Gibson because he was saying all the anti-Semitic shit because he was drunk.
yeah,
Like,
so I believe that obviously, like, if you're going to be saying something really bad or racist or something, I don't know if you cancel culture is the right thing, but you should definitely feel some shame about it.
sure, but
Um,
I guess you're right. What I'm trying to say is that you're right. I could see how people would react badly, especially to those like hot mic situations or like released camera
yeah,
footage where you're like, dude, I'm out here like everybody else in the streets trying to present a normal human being, and you caught me drunk. I remember even like what was this, like David Hasselhoff was drunk eating the hamburger, and his daughter recorded him and put it on the internet. Shit like that. I get it, because that could get any of us, right? Any of us could get caught slipping if someone's recording the wrong thing. Okay, so but here's the thing. Let me go back though, Chip, because here's where I think it really is. You're going forward and seeing like where we ended up with cancel culture, but where did cancel culture really start? How did we start with this cancel culture? How did that start? Do you remember?
no.
So one time, this guy named Harvey Weinstein,
Oh yeah,
actually, it was Roman Farrow, started writing about all these horrible things that dudes did in Hollywood and other industries, and they started this thing called the Me Too movement, right? And Times
yeah,
Up and all of these things, and women started saying, "Me too. I've had all these horrible experiences too. These people should get fucking canceled. These people should be called out." I think, and it ended up to this, I guess, what one might consider kind of extreme, but I think the reason why everyone's bitching about cancel culture is because women had the audacity to come out in public about all the horrible things that they've endured at the hands of asshole men who had power over them at the time.
yep. Yep, and most men just found it like they're the victims. They
Right. They
started
found it
victimizing.
annoying. How dare women say these things about our good boys? And
What
some
if
boys are
wait?
good. Some boys are good boys.
What if I catcall a woman on the
Yeah.
street? What, you can't just
Yeah.
catcall women on the street anymore? What kind of world we live in?
Yeah,
That's
so
the
that
type of
and that
situation.
so
Yeah,
that's where it started, and it ended up what I can't say the N word in the privacy of my own home, and so you could see. Well, I can't say the wrong pronoun. I can't call Elliot Page a girl. I can't call Caitlyn what's her name Caitlyn Jenner a boy. I can't do these things. What do you mean? Why do I have to be the victim? And that started because of the whole Me Too movement. So I guess what I'm saying is fuck all that shit. Like I don't. If that's the reason why Donald Trump is president, if that's the reason why we're back into this
I
fascist
think there's a
state,
lot of word. Yeah, there's a lot of that. Yeah,
I think you're absolutely right. Like, but but you were giving them quarter. I don't think they deserve any quarter.
I don't, Sky. I'm just like, I don't even know if I should blame, because the problem is also education in US has been slowly, right, like as you said, it wasn't just the Republicans that did that. The Democrats slowly took away also from the education and gave it to the rich, right? Education slowly became more privatized and more expensive. Good education, like, why is it that the public system is not the best system? That should be the reality. The public system should be the best system.
And you know why, right?
Like in Romania, we have private schools, by the way, but in Romania the best schools are the public ones.
Who pays for them?
I guess the public ones.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean partially the government, partially you? I don't know.
Okay, so in Germany, um, the cops in Berlin are the same kind of cops as in Frankfurt. They're wearing the same uniform because the federal government pays for all of it. It doesn't matter. So if you're in a shitty little town in Germany, you don't get shitty little cops. The cops might be culturally a little bit different, but they're wearing the same uniform, got the same rules. You know what I mean? You don't have and in Amsterdam, and sorry, Netherlands is the same way. The cops that you meet in bumfuck middle of nowhere are the same cops, same uniform as the fuckers in Amsterdam, and they got the same
100%.
rules. Yeah. In America, and now, hold on, and the schools are the same way. The schools are like that, where if you go to a school in Berlin, a public high school, and then you go to a public high school in Aachen, it's the same curriculum.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, same curriculum, teaching the same, good teachers, sometimes bad teachers, all that stuff.
Yeah, but same funding roughly, based on how many students they have. Okay, so the way we do it in America is that if you live in a nice neighborhood with big houses, you have more taxes because we pay for it exclusively from the property tax. So if you live in a rich area, your schools are good, and if you live in a poor area, your schools are bad. So this
what decides that? Because schools get more money if they live in a rich neighborhood?
They get a percentage of the tax base off of the home value.
Oh, that's so fucked. Who came up with that shit?
So like, for example, there's a house down the block from me. They're going to sell it for $915,000. Okay, there's another house up like in another like in the next door neighborhood, but the same city, that is selling for almost $2 million. This house that's like not in my neighborhood. I don't live that ritzy.
Yeah,
but like near, and $2 million. Those people have to pay a tax on that, right? So if you have $2 million home, you're paying a high tax. You're paying a percentage, but that percentage is a lot of money now. So the high school. So if that person with a $2 million home has 5 kids, they're going to a great school, right? Because they're paying.
It shouldn't be like, okay, I get why you would pay a bigger percentage of your tax to the government. That's fine.
It's the same percentage.
Yeah, but like it shouldn't be that the schools get based on the percentage of the property or area that they're in.
How they do it,
they should just get like, everyone should get, like, all schools in that country should get equally, because everyone should have equal access to education. And in fact,
but they don't.
In fact, schools in a poorer neighborhood should get more funding, because you want to rise people out of poverty, because everyone wins when you rise people out of poverty.
So a lot of people felt the way you do. So what they did, they invented this thing called the Department of Education.
Yeah,
under Carter, right? Where we would take some federal money and we'll try to get some of those poor schools, give them a little boost. You know what I mean? So, like, if you're in
yeah,
Missouri or Mississippi, you get a decent school, even though your house might be worth $100,000. Should you get a worse education than someone who lives in Beverly Hills? That makes no sense, right? Why should someone who lives in Mississippi in a $50,000 home get a worse education than someone living in Beverly Hills with a $2 million home? Those kids are the
yeah,
same, right?
yeah. And nobody chooses what their family they're born in, how much money.
Yeah,
You're a child.
yeah, exactly. You didn't choose your
You get
parents.
what you're served. So you should have access to education and the
Yeah.
equal chance to be. If you want to believe that billionaires can exist, everyone should have equal chance to be a billionaire, not just the rich ones, right? So
Yeah. So I love the poorly educated. Great point. The Republican have always loved the idea of having a lot of stupid people because stupid people vote Republican. They hate the idea of educated people. They It's really easy. Yeah. And
so
so
wait, that's so fucked, Sky.
yeah,
So schools get.
it gets worse. It gets worse though.
Oh God.
Because then also the private, so then even then the private education that now that guy with the $2 million home, he hates my kids in the $500,000 home. Why should I have to send my kids with all those poor kids? Their house is only worth 500,000. So I'll go ahead and pay my taxes, but I have enough money to build a private school as well. So I'll send my kids to the private school, and then I'll get a tax deduction off of my, because I don't use the
Because you're
public
not
school.
sending them to public school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I can undercut the public school. And Donald Trump eliminated the Department of Education. So it's like
It feels like America's made for the rich, isn't it? It feels like
yeah.
America's made, you know what, we want to make this country, but to a point, like they have to realize that even if you do want to make this country for the rich, to a point, you have to realize that even the rich won't like it when people are miserable around them. Because one of the reasons why I left Romania was also not because I had money, I had a good life, but going from work to my house meant seeing homeless people, seeing people struggle, and I didn't enjoy that. So nobody enjoys.
Hmm. I totally agree. Now, I want to this guy Agus. I'm a carpenter. I started working full time at 14. I started working full time at 13 because my father was a construction man. I started
I'm
working as a
sorry you guys have to go through that. What the fuck? I mean,
I
I
clean
get
up
it. You're
construction
proud of
sites.
that,
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
that's
It's a
not
weird
something
thing.
you should.
But then the same person says maybe that's something to do with the getting useless degrees. It had nothing to do with the actual work. That's a dumb fucking thing to say. That's why you know what? That's a stupid fucking thing to say. Some people think that learning carpentry is stupid. I mean, like,
But
who
this
are
is
you
the
to decide?
person. This is the person who thinks that people are poor because they spend it on things they don't need.
Yeah, like
This person is reeking with privilege. Let's face it.
yeah,
It's not.
it's just so ridiculous. Like I
Yeah.
decide which degrees are the ones that have value, and your value is only what kind of jobs you can do. That's the only value you have in life. Okay, well you're a slave. Great. I love being a slave. Why don't you love being a slave? I love slaving. Yeah, it's a
I
bit
worked as a
ridiculous.
software engineer also. It's from 15, I think, not 14. But I had also childhood. I also enjoy my childhood. I work part time.
I don't think there should be any. I'm pretty resentful that I was working at 13 myself. But I mean, when I was younger, I thought that was a badge of courage. Like I've been working so hard my whole life, and I have work ethic. Great, I was a workaholic, is what I was.
By the way, Sky, you know about the private school thing? I actually met a guy when I was in, because I was a math Olympic, I told you, in Romania, and I would meet a lot. I would interact with a lot of people, and I only
Mhm.
met one person coming from private school ever at the math Olympic, because I was twice there, and I was a lot of math competitions. I only met one person in all those situations, in all those people, all those places. I only met one person coming from a private school.
Mm-mm.
And I'm like, why the hell would you, like, I remember meeting them and I'm like, why the hell would you go to a private school? It's like, why? Because you can go to a public school and it's so lovely. You get
So
good teachers and everything. Like,
I
I
went to
never
private
understood that.
school. I went to private school when I went to a lot of private schools younger, and it was because my family, we lived in kind of a like not the best neighborhood for the best schools, and so we went to. My parents wanted me to have religion, so I had to go to private school, and they also had after school care. Both my parents worked. And so I
Ah,
went to school in the morning and there were people to take care. So my parents would drop me off at like 6 a.m. and there were people there to take care of me as a kid. And then they would pick me up at 6 p.m., 3 hours after school. And there are people there to take care of me so that it was cheaper for them to send me to private
yeah.
school than pay for daycare, pay for a nanny or something. So like, and they didn't have money for a nanny. Like they weren't that kind of rich, you know, that my parents were working class. So they had enough money to send me to a private school. It was actually cheaper than the alternative. And they had all these other benefits. So, and also they were all college prep classes. I did college prep, right? Every year I took an SAT. So when I actually took an SAT, every year I took an SAT. So when I took an SAT to get into college, I did great because I wasn't afraid of taking SATs. I was so good at taking SATs at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, so I mean, like, I always did really well in tests because from, I think, first grade, I was taking out those tests.
I think you just had parents who wanted the best for you and they tried doing what's best for you in the system that existed. But I'm just so amazed by the system that you had. Like, I'm amazed by the fact that, because I can understand. I cannot. No, I'm sorry. I just cannot, because like, whenever you speak to somebody who says like what the beauty of the internet provides is the fact that we all can communicate with each other, exchange ideas, and from that you can get things that maybe you've never thought about.
Mm-hmm.
How can we get there if some populations don't even have access to decent education? And no access to decent education means no access to good jobs. No access to good jobs means a poor pay. And in a country where you have to pay to have access to healthcare, you're not going to have access to mental health care also.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just going to be in a position
Or
where
dental.
you probably
Mm-hmm.
had already a shitty situation. If you grew up in a bad neighborhood, you probably already had like bad, like if the school is underfunded, you probably already had to deal with bullies and all that stuff, so you'll probably already suffer from mental illness. And I'm
Mm.
like, okay, well, it's just like keeps piling up. So
Yeah.
it's not that you have to work hard enough, it's just that at some point it just ends up being a luck. You wanted to get out of it, you worked hard to get out of that situation. Were you lucky enough to choose the right job? Because if you weren't, you're fucked.
It's not just choosing, it's did you have the right people around you? Did you have the right mentors? Did you have the right,
Also,
there's so many were you able to stay healthy as a child? Were you able to stay healthy during your main productive work years? I mean, there's a lot of people, they're amazing, and then they break their arm or they break their knee and now they're out of the workforce and they lose so much ground because they're in this race, right? In order to get successful. Jen Batch says, who are you to decide what is or isn't real valuable work for others? And I think that's so important. I mean, you know that Galileo and Copernicus, they were doing extremely important work that we still rely on today, but the people of their time said that their work was not valuable. They were threatened by torture and imprisonment. They were always told that what they were doing, looking at the stars, is the dumbest thing you could do. Why are you bothering? Tons of people in history have done things like, why are you working on building a light bulb? We have gas light now. Why are you working on making plastic? Plastic is stupid. We make oil turns into gasoline. Why would you want to make something out of the leftovers? Like, all of these things have value based on knowledge, and how you apply them. You may or may not apply them. This is the human endeavor. Knowing
yeah,
shit.
and also like exact knowing shit, yeah.
Yeah.
And also like, you know, I can understand why some things could say are as more demand than others, but everything has value. Everything you do
Mhm.
can have value. Even art has value. What
Yeah,
are
it's
we
like, it's
talking
so
about?
dumb. People like that will always be like, "Well, studying music is stupid." What? What do you mean studying music is stupid? You're vibrating strings and vibrating the air so that it enters my ear, and then I can interpret it from a little hammer moving back and forth. Like, what? Yeah, like, that's incredible. It's magical.
Yeah, it's
No, it's
just,
worthless to study that.
I also think like it creates so much mediocrity when you're just going after the things that make money, because all you do is generate mediocrity. Maybe this one person, yes, will they make a lot of money like painting, like painting walls in a house,
Yeah.
but maybe this person's a fucking graffiti genius. Maybe
Yeah.
they're the what's that guy's called? That guy's name, the one he creates all of the sudden out of nowhere.
Banksy.
Everyone know. Banksy. Yeah, maybe he's the next Banksy, but he just pursued this because it makes money, right? Like, no, we
I mean,
should
famously,
allow.
Michelangelo hated painting shit for the church. He only wanted to do sculpture, but he couldn't afford marble, so he had to paint shit for the church in order to get the marble. And like the Sistine, it's hard to think because like the Sistine Chapel, if you're ever there, it's unbelievable. And it's like this guy didn't want to do this. Like, no, he wanted to do this over here. Go look at the David in Florence. You can go look at the David. He wanted to do that.
Also, like, I feel like the best movies and the best stories we've ever heard about inventions and everything, obviously not all of them are like that, and most of them do involve a lot of work, but the best ones that we love, the ones that we just stick with our emotions, with everything, are the ones where you have this person who is so dedicated towards what they're doing, so passionate about what it is, and something rises out of their passion, something comes out of that, even if everyone says, you know what, nothing's going to come out of it, right? And whether that's music, whether that's art, it's like, why shouldn't we encourage people to try? And we should have failed systems. We should encourage people to try, because in trying so, we could get the next big thing. The
But it's not
internet
just the
was
thing
a
either.
big
You can
thing.
also unlock ideas. Like people don't even realize how many
Yeah.
philosophical ideas that they're walking around with, that they relied on somebody sitting in a room thinking about shit. Things like
Yeah.
philosophy, things like gender studies. Someone's like, "Oh, no, gender studies are stupid. What are you going to do with the gender studies degree?" Well, you could do all sorts of shit. A lot of them become sociologists,
Yeah.
psychiatrists. A lot of, they do all sorts of shit where they can make money. Gender study, I don't like it. Gender stupid. It's like, it's just such a caveman look at the world, where someone somewhere is looking at Carol Gilligan, famous philosopher. I don't know what she studied in school, but she obviously is interested in things like gender. There's lots of examples of people who have studied things that you thought were useless, and it led them to huge breakthroughs that people are walking around with today. Friedrich Nietzsche died in an insane asylum because they thought that what he was working was useless.
The AI, that's the one of the biggest industry today, came out of, if I'm not mistaken, 3 or 4 breakthroughs that have nothing to do with AI.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, like
the
it's just marvelous that some person at some point, like, we solved the issue with AI. We said, like, oh, look at that, this is kind of like how you make a neural network. And that's what I learned in college, by the way, neural networks and all that. And then somebody, because they didn't teach us this in college, in fact, in college they teach us something completely different about it, like how it's not actually practical, and why it's not practical. We had to do all this math and all that. And then somebody along the way said, what if we just threw a fuck ton of data at it? That's just one guy is like, what if we just threw a fuck ton of data out of it? And out of that, what was born? ChatGPT 3.5.
But not only that,
and it
but
was fucking amazing.
What is ChatGPT? And you correct people all the time. And this ChatGPT is not just AI; it's LLM, right?
Yeah,
and large language, and that's a huge breakthrough. Throwing data at a machine doesn't give you enough. You needed to have the machine look at all data as if it were language. That is a fucking crazy breakthrough, and that's something where people like you doing mathematics and all these and looking at neural networks and shit, they got together with the fucking liberal arts people.
Yeah, but Sky, so the thing about it, because we did that in college, and we tried LLMs in college, but the data that we had tried them with, they didn't seem feasible. Like, they just seem like they're like good, but they're kind of stupid. So we need the next big thing to make them good, right? We thought, oh, that's enough data. But what ended up was just somebody throwing a fuck ton of data at it and seeing that it actually does improve, that it actually does get better.
But I remember, Chip, like 20 years ago, talking about AI, and they had an AI model that could look at two pendulums, a pendulum, and the pendulum would swing back and forth, and that's a pretty easy
yeah, and then the double pendulum,
and then the double pendulum, and then it became, and then the AI looked at it, and they gave us an equation for basically gravity. Basically, it was like force equals I forget what it is, and it just gave us a formula. And because we already knew that formula, we were like, holy shit, that's fucking crazy. How would it know? How would it get that from what we look at it? It looks like chaos, and the machine looks at it, and it gives us the formula for gravity that it took hundreds of years for us to come up with. It came up with it like this, and we already knew it, so it was great. But then they were showing it cells, and it would give us equations that didn't make sense to us. that's where I think it's so important that we had people that didn't know. Throwing a fuck ton of data at something isn't enough. You have to
No,
have.
it's not enough. But I'm just saying, like the last bit of it was that, right? Like you had everything else behind that, obviously, but that last bit was somebody who was curious enough to try it. And what my point was there was that curiosity, as we've been discussing right now,
Mhm.
curiosity can reach new heights, can bring you to the things that we've never done before. Like, why is it that we have to constantly just go down the path of mediocrity? This makes money, this work
Mhm.
hard. No, why can't we just explore? What happened to the exploration? What happens to this?
Yeah.
We as humans do have an exploration need. We want to seek, we want to enjoy, we want to learn, we want to explore. Why is it that we created a society where exploration is not part of it? Because it's not. Like only
Because they
some
want you
jobs.
working for them. Because they want you to work for them. They want you slaving. They want you jobbing. They want you jobbing for some fucking rich guy and not doing those things like coming up. Because when you do shit like that, then you get people like Salk who invents the polio vaccine because he just want a high school teacher invents the polio vaccine and no one can make any money off of it because he gave it away. They hate that shit. They fucking hate shit like the polio vaccine. He gave it away. What are you doing? Or people like Tesla, not Tesla, the car
Yeah, yeah,
company, but
yeah.
Nikola Tesla, he wanted to make hydroelectric power for everybody. He thought the world could be lit by neon. He thought that you could like he wanted to do alternating current instead of direct current because he thought that it would kill fewer people and you could give people free electricity for the whole planet. They hate that shit. People like Edison want to kill people like that. You know? Like
But
that's why.
the thing of yeah, because and because we started all this rant from how did we get here with all that, and I think like we just realized that the system is so flawed, and I don't think there's Europe has it a little bit better with the public education, as you said. It's a pity that America doesn't have that, but Europe isn't perfect. Education is perfect is pretty bad everywhere, and I think it's pretty bad because we education isn't. There is some things that are about exploration, but there's a lot of it about just about like I feel like it's so weird to me that education isn't merely practical enough, but also not idealistic enough. It's like
Mm,
we're hovering somewhere between idealistic and practical, and we're getting neither of them. Because education doesn't teach you how to pay taxes, how to deal with money, how
no,
to real life stuff, but they also don't teach you idealized stuff enough, or maybe they don't teach it well enough.
they don't
So
teach you.
you
They because they're trying to separate you from humanity and turn you into an automaton that works for their profit. Um, this Huga Homestead, Huga, or I always pronounce it wrong, but I know I used to pronounce it Higgy. Do you know? Are you familiar with Huga? Huga, you know what a Huga room is, Chip?
no.
So it ties into I think what you're saying and why it's so useless to talk about. Maybe there's people who study comfort and Huga, which is like a Danish idea of like a comfortable, cozy room, a Huga room, and they have design concepts about how you make like a room feel like a warm hug. And I love this shit because I love the name Huga Homestead because I'm actually trying to design. I want to talk about this after the show in the so we get look tie this off real quick, but I want to build like a southwestern Huga room that looks like I don't know, real comfortable. I want to make a podcast studio where I can fly people in, bring
I
people to the
remember you telling
studio.
me that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to design it. So I'm like trying to find design concepts on Pinterest and shit that are Huga, but also Southwestern and also kind of minimal. It's very difficult for me to find images of what I'm talking about. So I'm looking up like Southwestern noir and and uh, New Mexico. Uh, I thought, what was it? New Mexico traditional speakeasies and things like that. But it's really hard to find that look. Homestead for retirement. Huga, Huga room. Anyway, I'm sure people who were studying Huga was considered really lame. I guess people thought it was really dumb to have that. I think it's so cool though. Like, they talk about this in the Blue Zones of Happiness, why the Danish have like a higher happiness quotient than Americans, and they say it has something to do with the fact that they have these hookah rooms, and like look at these places, like moss, this
Oh,
moss,
that's cute.
right? It's supposed to
Yeah.
look like super, super comfy. Like that's why these rooms exist. Hugo bedroom ideas, like mixing
Cozy.
natural elements and stuff. I
We
like
call
this
it
type of shit.
gezellig in Dutch. Gezellig.
Hazelig.
Gezellig.
What's that? Hazelig. That's what
It's
it is in
it's kind of
Dutch.
like cozy. Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
Hazelig. In German, I think they call it gemütlich. I guess cozy is what it translates to, but it's this
Yeah.
like this Danish design concept, which I think is so much fun. Anyway, at the end of this all, I just wanted to close with saying, dismantling the state isn't nihilism. It's redirecting your loyalty toward people and the ground actually in front of you. Close on the. I just want to make sure that we are not. I'm not saying that nationalism, like traditional nationalism, I'm saying that that is the devil. I'm saying that's unethical. I think that if you want to actually be patriotic, you would care less about the state and more about the people, the loyalty you have toward them, and the ground that you're actually on, not this fucked up abstraction of the geopolitical lines around America or the Netherlands or anywhere else. It's about the people that you care for and that care for you. And that's the end. That's all I wanted to say. How do you feel about that? Basically, I just described anarchy, by the way, anarchism.
I feel like what we should do is get rid of nationalism. Stop telling people that you need to be a slave to your country, and say, hey, you can be proud of your group, you can be proud of your country, but but make sure that you understand that your country is a concept that made of the people. People need to be put first in that country. It's not, we can't continue a culture if it oppresses the people in that country. We can't, like countries and nationalism, they're just like conceptual things which feel good, but reality is, sometimes we need to progress, and whether that's coming from the right side or the left, progress needs to happen, and we should allow it to happen.
Agreed. Allow it to happen. In Kropotkin, The Conquest of Bread, he talks about. You just reminded me of something in that book where he talks about how once you're done with a few hours of work that you have to do just to live, you should be able to have access to tools and workshops and machines to help you make cool shit, do stuff. And if you can encourage other people to help you, that's awesome. Like, we should be helping each other. I mean, how amazing would it be? But instead, what we do, we say, no, certain tools are only for rich people, certain tools are only for certain people. And that's so insane that that's how we do it. It's crazy, actually.
Yeah.
People don't even have access to do what you're talking about. Simple, we are all humans, much more love, less hate, fellow humans. It'd be great if fellow humans, but I don't know that you can even, like, I think you're right that if it's happening to any human, it's happening to all of us. But how can we do something about it right here, right now? And I say, love your neighbor. I think Jesus talked about that a little bit. All right, everyone, thank you so much. We're going to do the Ethical Underground Afterglow right now. It's for members only. I hope you'll join us. If you're not a member, please become one. Sky City Rebels get extra footage, extra content, extra streams, and extra love in the chat. Chip is going to tell me about why he has a hard time keeping himself from masturbating 7 times a day. And I am going to tell him about movies I watched. And
so many erections.
It's hard when you have that much testosterone.
That's
No, we're gonna talk about all sorts of stuff on the Afterglow. Please join us over there. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you. Don't take any wooden nickels. Don't take any wooden nickels. And illegitimately non-carborundum. Don't let the bastards grind you down. Thanks, everybody. Bye, Chip. Ground.
Like me?
Like you.
Like me. This was the amazing podcast, everyone. Thank you for being here.
So much better than a podcast. Let's go. Yeah, I just say for the music. Join the resistance. Don't forget to share the stream, share the videos, like it, subscribe, and hype anything you can. Thanks for the support. Please share a short.
Share a short to share.
Short to share and share a short. Thanks for the support. Bye, everybody. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much.